Introduction to VBA and its uses in Excel. VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications, which is a programming language that can be used to automate tasks in Microsoft Office applications, including Excel. It allows you to create macros and custom functions that automate repetitive tasks and perform complex calculations. VBA is a powerful tool for Excel users who want to work more efficiently and effectively. Automating repetitive tasks with VBA, you can automate tasks that you perform frequently in Excel, such as formatting cells, copying and pasting data, or sorting data. Customizing Excel functionality. VBA allows you to customize the functionality of Excel by creating your own macros, functions, and add-ins. This can help you to work more efficiently and productively in Excel. Performing complex calculations. VBA can be used to perform complex calculations and data analysis in Excel. For example, you can use VBA to analyze large data sets, perform statistical analysis, or create custom reports. Interacting with other applications. VBA can be used to interact with other applications, such as sending emails, accessing databases, or integrating with other software. Explanation of the VBA editor and how to access it. The VBA editor is a development environment where you can write, edit, and debug VBA code. To access the VBA editor in Excel, you can follow these steps. Open an Excel workbook and press Alt F11 on your keyboard. This will open the VBA editor. Alternatively, you can access the VBA editor by clicking on the Developer tab in the Excel ribbon and then clicking on the Visual Basic button. Once the VBA editor is open, you can see a few different windows. The main window is the Code Editor, where you can write, edit, and debug VBA code. The Code Editor window is divided into two sections, the Project Explorer and the Code window. The Project Explorer window displays a hierarchical list of all the objects and modules in the Excel workbook, including worksheets, user forms, and modules. You can use this window to navigate between different objects and modules in your workbook. The Code window is where you write and edit VBA code. You can write code directly into the Code window or copy and paste it from other sources. Recording macros. How to record a macro in Excel and what a macro is. A macro is a series of commands and actions that can be automated in Excel. By recording a macro, you can automate repetitive tasks in Excel and make them faster and more efficient. For example, you can record a macro to format a table or chart and then apply that formatting to other tables or charts with just a few clicks. To record a macro in Excel, you can follow these steps. Open an Excel workbook and select the Developer tab in the Excel ribbon. If the Developer tab is not visible, you can enable it by going to File Options, Customize Ribbon, and then checking the Developer box. Click on the Record Macro button in the Code group. This will open the Record Macro dialog box. In the Record Macro dialog box, you can specify a name for your macro, a keyboard shortcut if you want to assign one, and a description. You can also choose to store the macro in the current workbook or in your personal macro workbook. Click OK to start recording your macro. All of the actions you perform in Excel will be recorded as part of the macro. Once you have finished recording your macro, click on the Stop Recording button in the Code group. Your macro is now saved and can be run at any time by clicking on the Macros button in the Developer tab and selecting the macro you want to run. The importance of macro security and how to enable macros in Excel. Macros can be a powerful tool in Excel, but they can also pose a security risk if they are used maliciously. Macro viruses can spread through Excel files and cause damage to your computer or data. Therefore, it's important to be cautious when opening Excel files with macros and to only enable macros from trusted sources. To enable macros in Excel, you can follow these steps. Open an Excel workbook that contains macros. If the workbook contains macros, you will see a security warning message at the top of the Excel window. Click on the Enable Content button in the security warning message. This will enable macros in the workbook and allow them to run. If you want to adjust the macro security settings in Excel, you can do so by going to File Options, Trust Center Settings. In the Trust Center Settings dialog box, you can adjust the macro settings for all Office applications or for Excel specifically. You can choose to disable all macros, enable only digitally signed macros, or enable all macros, not recommended. You can also choose to add trusted locations where macros can run without being checked by Excel's security features. Introduction to VBA Code, basic syntax and rules of VBA code, and explanation of variables, data types, and operators in VBA. Comments are used to add notes and explanations to VBA code. In VBA, comments begin with an apostrophe, and anything that follows the apostrophe on a line is ignored by VBA. Comments help to make code more readable and easier to understand. Variables are used to store data in VBA code. In VBA, variables must be declared before they are used. You can declare a variable using the dim statement, followed by the variable name and its data type. Procedures are used to group a set of instructions that perform a specific task. VBA has two types of procedures: sub-procedures and function procedures. Operators are used to perform mathematical and logical operations in VBA code. Examples of operators in VBA include addition, plus, subtraction, minus, multiplication, division, slash, and comparison operators such as equals, equals, not equal to, and greater than, less than, greater than or equal to with equals, and less than or equal to. Data types in VBA specify the type of data that can be stored in a variable. Here are the most commonly used data types in VBA: integer, long, single, double, string, Boolean. Writing basic VBA code to automate tasks in Excel. Examples of basic VBA code such as message boxes, input boxes, and loops. Message box. A message box is a dialog box that displays a message to the user. The messagebox function is used to display a message box in VBA. Input box. An input box is a dialog box that prompts the user to enter a value. The input box function is used to display an input box in VBA. Loops. Loops are used to repeat a set of instructions a certain number of times. There are two types of loops in VBA: for loops and while loops.